All right, so this is Decent Weed People News one more time. And, second video. Uh, anyway, this is Jeff Morgan. So look him up on YouTube, be able to see this document better from his channel. And I'm not giving legal advice, okay? And do not misconstrue this, okay, as legal advice. This is educational purposes only, okay? Now, my last video, I did talk about something about coercion under duress and all that. And here's a little deal, somewhat about it, okay? And take it as you wish, okay? Um, do got to follow up with one thing. One of the cases I was helping on, uh, the courts decided to give the man uh, or the woman the property to her, and he never signed anything. So on the last video, I said you don't have to sign nothing, and I meant it, right? Can't force you into contract. So the judge was on her behalf, turned around, issued an order, and said you had to sign this. He says no, I don't. This, that, here, and there. Well, a few months later, she decided to file paperwork to get him kicked off the property. So he went to court, okay? And I was there, by the way. And the judge was actually really good. You know, I am about judges and attorneys. When I say they're really good, it's something really far fetched. And everything happened to be in line. All right. She said it was a judgment of degree. She gets the property. The judge turned around and asked the man, uh, did you agree to this? And he said, no, I rebutted everything. And I did not consent to none of this. And I didn't sign nothing. So the court kind of looked at her and said, "Wait, well, you're gonna have to take this back up to the other courts. This is the wrong jurisdiction," which we challenged the jurisdiction of the matter, by the way, because she didn't have any. There was no contract, right? So she says, told the lady, says, "Well, I can't do nothing. This is the wrong jurisdiction. Um, he didn't agree to these terms." So therefore, you're gonna have to go back to the other courts and deal with that situation. By the way, the judge passed away, so you know, uh, in this case, it may go back to Billingsley. However, she recused herself last time, and so we'll see what happens with that. However, the man told Judge Jay Gibson that he's not going to sign nothing, and he stuck to it. He did not sign nothing. So when they tried to get him kicked off the property, they couldn't do nothing because he did not agree to the terms. He rebutted everything. He did not consent to nothing, and he did not sign nothing. And they said, well, you got to take the matter up into another court. So he's still on the property. Take it as you wish. Anyway, let's go ahead and go through this video. Once again, this is a sucky phone. A lot of rubbing around the camera area right there. Sorry about that, but it is what it is. It is what it is. All right. This is Jeff Morgan, so look him up if you want to check this out in more of a clarity and without me interrupting.
It appears to me, based on this Attorney General's opinion, that if you signed under threat, duress, and coercion, or if you put down not a subset to the contents of this document, that you are lodging a protest. I think about the issues of child support. When you have child support, most people think that child support is for the mother and for the children. Actually, child support is something that's up for the state. It is one of the greatest marketing frauds and marketing gimmicks, I believe, that's out there. I was reading another document recently talking about attorney attorneys that represent Title 4D agency, which in the state of Texas is the Office of the Attorney General. Who do they represent when they go to court? Do they represent the mother and the children, or do they represent the state of Texas? They are representing the state of Texas. And child support, it's basically trying to protect the taxpayer from having to pay for the benefits that a mother and the children, or a father and the children might receive, that somehow by making an individual pay this child support, that's going to make sure that the state does not have to pay it. Now, I'm not saying some of the stuff doesn't get routed to the mother and to the family, but this is basically a cost recuperation program to the best of my knowledge. And again, somebody with better understanding of this can actually comment further about this. Again, no firsthand experience with this, that in signing a child support document that you disagree with, say, for example, you do not have the 50-50 possession with your children. You should be able to sign, I disagree with this document. I am forced to sign this under threat, duress, and coercion. It may be that you're paying child support to a person who makes more money than you, who doesn't need it, and they're going to use the child support to maybe do her hair, or maybe for him to go out on a golfing tour or something like that. We have no receipts that actually track the money that is being so-called exchanged or given to the custodial parent. We don't know how he or she is using that money whatsoever. So basically, it is just an exchange of property. And in many instances, the person who's paying the child support never even wanted a divorce or never wanted to have a never formed family. And really what the state is not telling you, however, though, is that the Title 4D agency and the child support is to help the state recoup monies so that it's not taking the burdens of the expense. And this really caught me by surprise, because I seen that one case that I watched this person, again, having no experience with child support from a personal level, but I went down to watch the Office of the Attorney General trying to make a person who was not the father pay child support to the mother. This was blatant paternity fraud happening in Houston, Texas. It was a friend of mine. I drove from Dallas down there, and I was really mystified at the beginning because there were 3 attorneys present. His attorney was present, her attorney was present, and the third attorney was the attorney for the Office of the Attorney General. And it appeared to me that this was basically like a 2-on-1 gang up on my friend. He was stating that he was not the father, and then of course they had to go back and forth between the 2 attorneys. But the Office of the Attorney General, that attorney was trying to say, you acknowledge that you were the father, even though he had not done so. So as I'm watching this play out, his attorney starts to present his case to say he's not the father, and actually the attorney of the mother agreed. The mother stated, you know what, he was not the only person that I had sex with. I realized that the DNA declares that he is not the father's, and there's another person. But the Office of the Attorney General actually guided her to name him as the father because the other person had fled to Mexico, so they could not collect any child support. So the attorney for the Office of the Attorney General, the Child Support Enforcement Collection Agency here, they were trying to make the case. Somehow we tricked him into signing that he was the father and that he owes this money. It was very deceitful on the part of that attorney, because both of the attorneys, his attorney and her attorney, agreed he was not the father, but the attorney for the Office of the Attorney General, the Child Support Enforcement Division, wanted to say, how are we going to get our money? He signed this document, and really, actually, I don't think he even signed the document. I think what happened was there were a few paychecks where the Office of the Attorney General took a few dollars out of his paycheck. And it was not a significant amount, and that he didn't even notice it. But by doing that, that was the Office of the Attorney General making claim to him that he did not protest, because I don't even know that he was aware of it, but making protest that he was acknowledging that he was the father. So the whole thing about child support, again, I think that both parents should support their children. The best support for a child is to have both parents actively involved in children's life, preferably in the same household, preferably married. The Office of the Attorney General Child Support Enforcement Division, all they care about is the money. And if you're in a situation where there is a judge that orders child support, if it comes out that this is what the state is ordering you to do, my Why don't you sign it and say, sign under threat, duress, and coercion, and not a subset to the contents of this document. And perhaps then you could say, no, I did not agree to this. Because if you are not going to pay your child support, that the judge will put upon you, and that the Child Support Enforcement Division will be collecting and seeking to modify every time you get a raise or something like that, they can throw you in jail. They can take away your driver's license. They can take away your passport so you can't travel outside of the country because you might be, quote, a flight risk. They can take away your professional license. The stuff that they do, they have what they call weapons or arrows in their quiver to be able to bring compliance about by the paying parent. But the reality is, as far as I understand it, child support, the idea of child support, it is one of the greatest marketing frauds, marketing gimmicks that the state has perpetrated on the public. Child support, as we know it, is to reimburse the state. So that once they try to get a custodial parent to sign up for something, and basically they are pushing their rights, and they're giving the rights to the state to collect and to go after this person. So custodial parents say, well, listen, I don't want the child support from that person. And the state says, we have a claim on that person. We are now.
And also on your documents, always put all rights reserved. Always, people. In fact, just make that as your signature. All rights reserved. Don't even put your name on there. Put on signature where it says signature, all rights reserved. And then everything else underneath that. Okay? If you're going to sign a document at all, period.
We are now going after the person who we determined to owe the child support. So the contract is really not between the person and the the custodial parent. It's actually a contract between the non-custodial parent or the paying parent and the state. That is my understanding of it. So anyway, I've always wondered, because after I first read this a few years ago, I thought, why don't people do this? Why don't they write protest words beneath your signature on the state document, assuming that you have to sign this document somehow? Said, no, I was forced to sign this under threat, duress, and coercion, not a subset to the contents of this document. The state is giving you an offer. You give them a counteroffer. If the state wants to accept your counteroffer, I guess maybe you go forth from there. But by writing down forced to sign under threat, duress, and coercion, and not a subset to the contents of this document, the way that I understand this Attorney General's opinion is that you have not accepted the offer to contract by the state, and therefore there is no contract that is valid. You can give them a counteroffer. I believe that you could possibly, if you wanted to, write in your conditions, they want to have $1,000 a month, you could say $300 a month and 50-50 equal share parenting, because you do want to support your children. If the fact is that apart from your support, the children may be in a position of dire poverty, and you're not just giving the money to somebody that now they have some more money just to spend on themselves, like on hair or on nails or on golf outings or vacations or whatever. The child support should be used for the children, not to increase the other person's lifestyle, and not a threat that the person can go to jail or lose his or her driver's license, professional licenses, passports, whatever the case may be. Once again, this is my opinion. I don't know. Somebody with better experience, feel free to comment. This is just some thoughts that I have, and maybe my thoughts are wrong, but maybe there's some other thoughts that it may spur that you can add to it. Anyway, that's it for right now. Senator John Cornyn, at that time, the Attorney General John Cornyn, the effects of certain protest words written beneath a person's signature may indicate that you have not accepted the offer to contract, and the contract is not a valid contract. Anyway, thanks so much.
Okay. And to give fair notice, right? At the time, John Cornyn was the Attorney General for the state of Texas. He became a U.S. Senate. Okay, I can't even remember the guy's name now. It's running it, Kim Paxton or something like that. Anyway, there you go. Take it as you wish. Now, remember, you're going to have a little bit of this and a little bit of that and variable differences state to state, but your state signed a contract with the federal government. All right. So the 4D program of federal government, all right, is all the same to all the states. And it basically tells the states that they must have a contract. So the state contracts out with the federal government, and then the state contracts out to you. Technically, it's state contracts to the federal government, and the county contracts to the state, and then you contract to the county. And I do believe this is on purpose, so we cannot get to the bottom of all this crap they do, right? They